Hi, my name's Tom Hamilton. I was a speaker at the Masculine Soul Men's Conference a few weeks ago here at Apex. Had a couple follow-up questions from my session, which was focusing on imaging Christ as King. First question was, would you please share any wisdom regarding maintaining a strong relationship with God while balancing the needs of family and work? In other words, give me some day-to-day examples, the question asked. In the context of what I shared at Masculine Soul, I work far more hours than most people probably enjoy doing, so I just listed 6 or 7 ideas to stay practical on how to compensate for the lack of time in the Word and lack of time with your family. One of them, the first one though, is I always open my day with prayer before I get out of bed. And I seek God's wisdom despite the lack of refueling, to use an Air Force term that the Word says that we should get into daily. Sometimes that is just not possible. I freely admit that. And so I asked just Christ for His wisdom and strength to compensate for that. I also use times of commuting. For me, it's about a 20-minute one-way trip of radio and tapes, but you got to choose wisely and know who you're listening to. Such as I also spoke to at Masculine Soul. In the vacant times of the day when you actually have a minute to take a breath, I follow Peter's advice. When he was sinking in the sea, he said, "Lord, help me," when he lost faith. And that's not a very eloquent prayer, but it sure was effective, and Jesus reached out and helped him. And I've found that I say that ineloquent, if that's a word, prayer many times during the day. Also at work, though, I do hoist faith flags as frequently as I can. In other words, just unspoken ways of witnessing to folks that I'm a believer and that Christ has redeemed me. One of them is even in a group at work, I'll bow my head before I eat a meal. It's amazing how other people will do that then when they see me doing it or any Christian doing it. And rather than saying goodbye or have a good evening or whatever, I try to conclude conversations with God bless. That phrase, God bless, and that has been encouraging to others. And I'll tell you, just those little faith flags, they circle back to you, and they're kind of a self-encouragement, and you remind yourself that you're a child of the King. This one's really practical. Call your wife once or twice a day, if at all possible. Just ask her what's going on in her life. If you're married or your significant other, very often she's going to feed you with some sort of perhaps a blessing or an uplifting comment that can carry you through the balance of the day. All that being said, though, you want to stay dissatisfied, which seems a little bit odd, but you want to keep returning to the throne as the day progresses to help you maintain your relationship with Christ, and you're reflecting Christ at work as you should, and also then so that when you go home you can put work behind you and give your attention to your family and your wife. And then lastly, as you open in prayer, I do the day in prayer. I conclude every day in prayer with praying with my wife as well. That's not always a devotional. In fact, usually it's not. But just concluding your day in prayer in bed or what have you with your bride, where you are jointly pleading for oneness and strength and the wisdom that you need. I have found that to be a strong compensation for the many moments or the many days that go by where I haven't had time to get into the Word, and I haven't had time to really minister to my wife and my children as I otherwise should. Those are some thoughts. Thank you.